Let's be honest. You want some coins, don't you? Come on, don't lie. Don't lie. In this video, I'll be sharing a little guide of my information on like Tarantula Slayer and what you need, MP, you know, all the items you need necessary for being able to beat this this boss. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is tier 1 Tarantula. For this tier, you won't exactly need a whole bunch. I mean, you could probably get away with like 100 MP, probably Mastiff, genuinely probably like Ender armor. Like you could do this with probably like any armor. I'll get a little armor set going on. My stats are a little biased. My damage is a little biased because, you know, I have like, you know, lots of MP, blah, blah, blah. So that's not really fair to line up mine, but this is what I think you'd probably be fine with. So you're not necessarily going to need a quiver, but having the quiver from Spider collection is very nice. You can hold your arrows, you know, you don't have to have in your inventory, get your inventory cluttered. So I'll just fill my quiver really quick. For the reforge, you probably will be fine on Commando is the best for early game if you don't have like Silky and like all the other ones unlocked. You also need some sort of teleporting device, whether it's a AOTV, an AOTE, whatever it is, grapple hook, everything works. Depending on where you are in the game, will probably depend on what armor you're using. Honestly, you could probably use Ender armor for tier 1, maybe even tier 2. It's probably just cheap in what you have and what you've had from messing around in the end, you know, making some money off some summoning guys. So we'll go with the Ender armor for now. And now onto the weapon. You should be fine with an aspect of the end for damage. It doesn't have to have ultimate wise or have any ultimate enchant. It can be just basic. Normally you'll use with teleporting, so you won't be taking up 2 slots, but since I use ATV, we will. But for the sake of it, just know you could use this for teleporting and for damage. For healing, you're probably going to want either a florid zombie sword, a regular zombie sword, or a healing wand. Those healing wands are pretty cheap, and they'll probably get you by for these tier 1s, tier 2s. Ultimate wise isn't also needed. Again, it's just really for the healing, and you probably will get by not even be able to needing this. For a pet, I would recommend either a legendary tarantula because it's very cheap, or you can get an epic one. It's kind of faster to level up, does a little extra stuff. But these stats for this tarantula, they're pretty good. You get some nice damage buff from this. The anti-healing is really nice because the tarantula likes to anti-heal you and it's hard to get your health back up. And you get combat XP against spiders, and this is very useful. Something like maybe a wither skeleton or a wolf or a lion, tiger, blah blah blah, whatever you want to use will probably suffice. Even Grandma Wolf, probably. So now I've gone ahead and I've went to the Spider Island. We're going to try out a tier 1, see if we can do it. Right now I have no power selected, just so it's a little more equal on my end, since I have a lot more stats from skills and stuff. But you're probably going to be wanting using Commando or Bloody, maybe, if you have that. Just anything that gives you some crit chance, crit damage, strength. Because you always want to have 100% crit chance, and you want to get some nice strength boost from that as well. So now we'll get on to the spawning process. So you're just going to want to run around this area for a tier 1. Shoot these guys a little bit. So I actually just realized I didn't even have a boss spawning, so that's pretty funny. So now for real this time, we'll get this going. Alright, so this is the boss. We're gonna hit it. Boom. So here we go. Boom, spawn, boom. Easy like that. That's tier 1. So now we'll move on to tier 2. Nice teleporting and one of these, and nice like toxic arrow poison. So that's pretty easy. Again, pretty straightforward. So we'll move on to tier 3. So for the tier 3, this is when the egg phase gets introduced, and this phase is new with the new T5 update, but it made Tarantula a little bit annoying. So now these eggs spawn that you have to shoot, and they're kind of annoying. So for tier 3s, you're gonna want probably around an aspect of dragons. It's pretty decent if you already have one, or like if you have a livid dagger, you know, Failthorn, or even if you have an actual like spider sword, you could use that too. You're gonna want a precise spider short bow. It doesn't actually have to be precise or have any of these enchants on it. I just have duplex and these other things on it. For the eggs, it came with these other ones, but I put duplex on it. But what this spider shortbow does is arrows fired from this weapon deal 2x damage to egg sacs spawned by the tarantula broodfather. One shot will count as 2, so you'll get through the eggs very, very fast. And you can use whatever equipment. I'm just going to use the same ender equipment that I was using. You also are going to want fierce or ancient mastiff. This will help with health. This will help with a lot of damage, actually, matter of fact. I almost have 500 just straight up from this without any type of selection. For the sake of this, I'm going to select some crit damage, but ideally, like, you would want to do your own thing, depending on your profile. Probably still Commando or Bloody if you have that, maybe Forceful. Just whatever gives you the most attack. So we'll move on to the tier 3 now, and we'll that all situated. So by now, if you have these items, you'll probably be good enough to do this area of the spiders. The stronger spiders spawn faster, like so. Start hitting this. So I see I'm literally taking no damage. It's insane. And then this is when the eggs spawn. You want to back up. Don't get caught in the webs. Boom. Boom. Quick. Smack them again. Not doing that much damage because I don't have my magic power set. So there's 2 phases of this. Shoot the spiders all around. Blah, blah, blah. Shoot that again. Oh, where is he? And notice how I'm taking like no damage at all. Like Mastiff is very, very, very good when it comes to survivability. Important enchants to include on your sword of choice is Bane of Arthropods, Fire Aspect, Lethality, Thunderlord, Giant Slayer, Venomous, Vampirism for healing, Execute, Cleave to clear the spiders, Critical. I might have said 1 second time, but it's all right. Now, moving on to T4, where it gets a little bit harder. So now that we're on to tier 4s, the required sword might change a little bit. A scorpion foil or a sting or something, probably not a sting, but a scorpion foil will probably be the best for damage, but I currently don't have one, so we're going to be trying this with a Fabled Livid Dagger with One for All. And this should be enough damage to simulate something around there. I turned my tunings on to kind of simulate some more damage if I wasn't using a Tarantula pet, because I don't exactly have another damage pet that would equal up besides Ender Dragon, which I think would just be too overpowered for the guide. But we're still going to stay in Mastiff. Now you're probably a little bit progressed. You can use your dungeon cloaks and stuff, or if you have, let's say, some molten equipment, you can also use that. We're still gonna have the spider short bow for now. Now is probably when you'd want to put duplex 1 on it, and duplex 1 is very cheap. It's around like 900k right now. Ideally you wouldn't want One for All on your liver dagger or whatever item you use, but this will probably be fine for my account's sake. But for guide's sake, you'd obviously want other enchants, and you'd probably want like Swarm 3 right now or Combo 5, something like that. So we're gonna spawn one of these bosses. The best way, in my opinion, to actually do these slayers would be Arachne. You probably don't want to do these big crystals. You may be killed by Arachne while you do the boss at the same time, but later on you make a lot of money from it. The Tarantula, not the Tarantula Silk, sorry, the Soul String Arachne drops is very profitable, especially if you place. You're guaranteed, I think, 45 or something, which is quite a bit of money. And normally there'll be other people like this guy here to help you. You won't be alone, but just know that your boss, you probably be patrolled a little bit by these guys. So we'll just attack Arachne a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. And there's my boss. So we'll lead him over here. Hit him, hit him, hit him. Boom. He's gonna do his thing. We're gonna shoot the eggs. We still have a lot of health. So this is just with the duplex spider bow. In total, this whole item costs 2 million, and you can get that done that quick. You don't have to kill the bats, but it's nice to with either your sword or whatever you want to use. And there, that's tier 4. Sometimes you won't have to worry about the bats draining you, but a lot of the time they do actually hurt while you're trying to do the boss, and if there's like other bosses. So right there, that's 200k from one of those bosses. And normally if you put your RNG right here, Slayer, boom, boom, on Tarantula Silk, it makes the most money because you're almost guaranteed one of these every drop. It says like 3 bosses or whatever, but usually every boss I'm getting one. Either every one or every other one. Oh, I didn't mention, but probably around 400 MP will be more than enough for this if you have a Livid Dagger or like a Felthorn, something around there. Before I do actually get any further into the guide, I want to take this time to make sure that all of you please subscribe or like, and it shows support, shows that you guys like these videos. I'll make more guide type of videos in the future if I see that, you know, this is what people want. So just take the time, go down below, just take a little hit at the subscribe button, take a little hit at the like button, you know, smash it a little bit, you know, just a little bit. And now we'll get on to the tier 5 gameplay, the guide. So for the tier 5, for the pet, you could use, if you have like an Ender Dragon, you could use Tiger, Lion. So for tier 5, you don't really need a whole lot. My setup's a little bit overkill. This is just like efficiency. So I have Burning Crimson, Legion 3, Primordial Helmet to stay alive, and also I've heard it does more damage than Warden Helmet, technically DPS wise, but I personally just like it for the speed. I don't like having, you know, 200 speed with Warden Helmet. Kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. My equipment, waxed molten equipment. This is what I use for Kudra, but this is just really good outside of dungeons for the 20 strength it gives. I'm using a Claymore with Swarm and a bunch of other enchants. You can pause the video, look at what I'm using. Also still using the Spider Short Bow for the eggs. You could use a Mosquito Bow technically, but you know, you don't need it. It's just a little bit faster, but I personally think it's still fast with this. I'm using my Term just for, you know, killing, spawning. You don't really need Term. You could use a Juju or even the Spider Bow still. Now is when you'd probably need a Mana Flux. I personally like it for Fierce Mana and Strong Mana I have, just to, you know, boost that a little bit because this uses half of your mana. I also like the health gain you get from it. It gets a little sloppy sometimes, you know, you do get hit pretty hard later on into the boss fight, so this is very, very nice. Although you don't technically need this, it's nice to have a rule where on boss spawn, your Ender Dragon or whatever your damage pet is comes out, and on kill entity spider, Tarantula comes out just for faster spawns. So it'll take this out 1.5x combat XP against spiders, so you'll spawn a lot faster. Now that we're over all the equipment, let's get into it. I did forget to mention, I am currently using Scorching Reforge. I'm using, I think, crit damage. Yeah, crit damage to even out my damage here. Making sure I have 100% crit speed or attack speed. Making sure I have almost 400 speed. Things like this will really matter. Yeah, I guess now we'll get back to it. Now that I actually have it figured out. The same Arachne method does work here too in tier 5s. This is normally what you want to do. People are saying it got ruined by the whole egg system, the egg sack or whatever they are. But I personally think it's still awesome. The top left, you peep that. That's my total profit just from doing these Arachne things. It doesn't count probably the other like 200 mil I've made straight up off of Arachne. Alright, so here's the boss. What I like to do as soon as it spawns, I pop this, hit it a few times, boom, back up, hit it with my bow or Term or whatever you use. Smack these things. Right click and left click. Smack it again. Oh, these guys are trolling my boss a little bit, but that's alright. Then I get ready for them to spawn again because they spawn on the second egg phase. This guy's helping me a little bit with the eggs. I appreciate it. Smack him a bit. I pop down my Mana Flux again for the strong mana and for the health and such, and boom. Just like that, gone. Realistically, you probably could do this with a Felthorn, Giant Sword, or just like a Sting. Like, Sting's pretty cheap. You don't need a Primordial Helmet either. You can use probably a Tarantula Helmet. You also don't need Crimson. You could do it in your Necron. You could probably do it in Shadow Assassin. Maybe, don't quote me on that. But you could also do it in Mastiff, I've found out. Mastiff is actually really good all the way up until tier 5, which is pretty nice. It's not as much damage as Crimson, obviously, but you know, it's still pretty neat. All right, now that you have a guide for this Slayer boss, go out there, make some money, save up for that hype, you know, do whatever you gotta do, blah blah blah. But yeah, if you want any future guides or anything, let me know. Might drop like other Slayer guides or dungeon guides, anything like that. Anything people are interested in, so comment down below what type of guides you'd like to see if I can make it happen. All right, everyone, peace.